Hallo meine lieben, wir sind zurück. Hello my loves, we are back talking about values as promised. This again is such an important foundation for the work that we're doing. Often people do not understand how important values are when it comes to not only self-knowledge, understanding the self, but also in understanding decision making. One of the biggest challenges is how to make decisions and how to stick to those decisions and really feel supported by the choices that one makes. And one way to do that is by being very aware of your values. Now, values can be in your private life different from the ones that you have in your professional life and different from the ones that you have in, for example, your partnerships. So what we're going to do today is going to be important not just to do once, but to do for different aspects of your life where you notice perhaps there's a difference. So for example, in my private life, I definitely have the top three values. The first would be freedom. Second would be truth. And the third would be humility, somewhere between humility and love. And my professional values, the first one is confidentiality. That is super important for me as someone who reads birth charts, progress charts, solar return charts. Also, as a Reiki teacher, confidentiality is absolutely important because I need people to show up in the wholeness of who they are, and I need them to feel safe with me, and I need them to know that what we speak about between us stays within that safe and shared space. And so my professional values might differ just a little bit from my private values. That doesn't mean that I do not value confidentiality in my private life. It's just that often you might notice that you might have values that are the same for all different areas of your life, but the priority differs because different situations don't appear as often in different parts of your life as they do in other parts. And because of that, certain values have to be reprioritized to help support the situations that are more prevalent in that particular area of your life. So again, with me, it would probably, not probably, I'm sure that it's freedom. Just gonna write these right quick. Freedom, truth, and humility. Then, in order to live our values, we must understand our virtues as well. Virtues tend to differ from values in that virtues are more universal. This universally understood to be important, whereas values will tend to be more subjective. It's almost like the subjective values versus the objective. In my opinion, the virtues support the values. So I have to have a clear understanding of my virtues in order to really be able to live my values. And so the virtue that I in particular feel is important for me is clarity. If I'm clear on my values, if I'm clear on what's important to me, if I'm clear on who I am, if I'm clear on my goals, the more clarity I have, the easier it is for me to live my values and to be who I am without questioning myself or without allowing others to shake my foundation by questioning me. So I would say clarity. Now, if you were to ask this question to, for example, Maya Angelou or to Plato or Aristotle, they would probably say courage. They would probably say that courage is the virtue that we all need in order to live our values. And I would definitely agree with them. It's just my priority would probably be more with clarity because I feel like clarity gives me courage. When I feel like, even if I don't know what's going to happen, even if I feel like the results are covered in fog, as long as I know why I'm doing something, then I feel more courageous in taking that step. So they might say courage. Also, what others might say is balance. It's always good to live your values in balance, live your virtues in balance. So some might say that in order to live my values, I must have balance. Others might even say consistency. And with the values and the virtues, you're getting kind of an understanding of who people are. And I think what is very important in that consideration is not only knowing your own values, but knowing the values of the people around you. So I had a situation at work where the company made an announcement that they would no longer be working with a particular service provider. They were cutting off the contract after years of working with this service provider. One employee reacted in a way of not supporting the decision. Another employee reacted in a way that they actually supported the decision. What the leaders in the organization didn't understand is that these two individuals had different values. The one who didn't support the decision had the value of loyalty. The other who did support the vision had the value of efficiency. And so both of them might share values, but the priority of the values were different. Their priority was loyalty, whereas their priority was efficiency. When a leader understands the values of those that they are leading, then they definitely have the opportunity to be a better leader and more supportive of helping a community come together to reach a specific goal. Sorry, I had a literal mic drop. My mic fell. Let's hope that's a sign. So not only is it important for you as an individual to really know your values, to be aware of them, but also as a leader, it is very helpful when you either can identify or you just ask those who you are leading, what are your values? Because then you're much better able to lead them and to help them come together to reach a common goal. So we know our values, because I hope that you stop to take time to really consider what's your values. Is it love? Is it generosity? Is it community? Is it patience? Is it kindness? There are so many, there are hundreds of values. Is it dedication, determination? Think about that. Really stop to take a moment, pause the video, write down your 3 values. What would be your virtues? Clarity, balance, courage. There are many different virtues as well. Which ones really help you to live your values? Now, once you've gotten clear on what your values are and what virtue really supports your values, it's going to be important to stop and really consider, okay, are these values that I inherited, or are these values that I've really established for myself? There's nothing wrong with them being inherited. It's just that it can be interesting to explore. Are these the same values that my parents had? Are these the same values that perhaps a teacher who had a powerful impact in my life had? Was that impact positive, or was that impact less positive, so to speak, negative even? And there's an opportunity to go back and perhaps adjust. Have your values been influenced? So for example, in a meditation, I received the input from the universe that my value of freedom was being influenced by past trauma. Now, it was not easy for me to receive that feedback. But what I realized once I really was honest with myself, that there were situations where I was choosing not to be social, and choosing to be free and have my space, where it wasn't necessarily coming from an energy of healthy, balanced freedom. It was coming more from disappointments that had occurred in the past, where I was afraid that if I interacted socially with different people, that those situations might repeat themselves. And so it was valuable for me to stop and to really think, okay, how am I living my values from a place of health and love as well? And where am I living my values from a space of fear? Because anything motivated by fear often ends up on a foundation made of sand, and it sinks. It's not stable. So we want to make sure that we're living our values from a place of love. And so we can ask ourselves, how did it come to be that I have these values? And is what influenced these values something that really strengthens me, or something that actually holds me back from what it is that I want to achieve? Because as someone who genuinely values freedom, especially in this age of Aquarius, I do want to enjoy freedom and independence, but I also want to enjoy community and interdependence. All of these are archetypes that are very strongly connected to the energy of Aquarius. And I really want to be able to enjoy that. So I'm going to need to make sure that I'm living my value of freedom from a space of love, which I feel that I am doing today. Now that we've acknowledged our values, then we can really go out and live them. And once they've been acknowledged, let's say someone questions a decision that we made based on our values. So for example, I value truth. And so I had a situation once where someone asked me to do something that I perceived as dishonest. I said no. So later, when that person questioned my decision, I did not waver. I was able to stand strong in my own integrity because I was aware of my values. And I knew that by acting in that way, I would have betrayed my own values. I would have betrayed my integrity. And so it made it much easier to stand by my truths and support myself because I was aware of my values. The last thing that I'd like to mention is the power of knowing your values. When you know your values, you give yourself a strong foundation. We've spoken on that already. This strong foundation is connected to stability. It's connected to your sense of self, your knowledge of self, but also your command of self. So your ability to stay calm in different situations, to remain peaceful, to release triggers and wounds. Again, when situations come where we might actually go home and then start to question our decisions, question our actions, knowing our values really helps us to act with integrity and to also be sure that the decision we made at the time when we made the decision was something that we felt genuinely to be the best for all. I hope this video is helpful to you. Let me know in the comments, what are your values? What are your top 3 values? Share that with us. Let's have a conversation. And we're going to move on in the next video to really creating, again, this strong foundation where the values have created that first level. I'm excited to keep going on this journey with you. I'm sending lots of hugs, lots of love.